Hello, this is the Provoked Prawn, and this is the Elgato Wave DX. This is an XLR microphone from Elgato, and I'm about to unbox and show off the microphone and talk to you about a number of different things about it, as well as showing the setup process with the Wave XLR, which is the XLR interface that you will see, and the low profile arm from Elgato. And I'm going to talk to you about the sound, the settings, the background noise that it picks up, and the things that you can do about that, and a lot more besides. Now, I'm using the microphone now for the voiceover for this video, and what you may hear is a little bit of tippy-tapping from my wife in the background, and I'm leaving that in because I want to talk to you about the settings and tweaks you can do to eliminate background noise, such as fan noise and keyboard sounds as we go through. I think it's worth talking about that and the other things of interest. Now, the microphone itself, as you can see when it comes out of the box, that's all you get. It's just the microphone and nothing else. You will need your own boom arm and XLR microphone cable, as well as an interface of some sort, whether that's the Wave XLR or something else like Go XLR or Rodecaster Pro 2 that I have reviewed previously and separately, and I'll link to useful videos in the description so you can check those out and find out more. But this is obviously a high quality alternative to Elgato's Wave 3 microphone, which is an excellent USB mic, and this is an XLR mic which should deliver better sound quality and a lot more customizable audio, and that is doubly the case with the Wave XLR because you have a lot of tweaks and customization. Elgato was kind enough to send over everything that I would need for this video, and obviously these are the things that you'll need to purchase as well. An XLR cable, so Elgato has a very nice premium looking one here, and you will need to buy this separately along with a boom arm, because as you can see, the microphone has no stand or mounting system. Although it is mountable on multiple different boom arms, it comes with both a 3/8 and 5/5 thread adapter setup, so it will work with a variety of boom arms. I'm actually going to show it with two different ones in this video. This is the Wave XLR, which is an XLR interface with a really simple plug and play setup, but also a lot of customization within the software. I've done a video separately on this previously, where I went into a lot of depth on what you can do with it. I'm going to show some of the features of it later on. Essentially, this allows you to plug in the XLR microphone and obviously a 3.5mm headset for monitoring purposes, and then you can customize the audio when you connected it up to your PC, and you can output multiple different audio sources into one single stream mix that you can then use in OBS or Streamlabs or whatever other software you're using to then present a great sound for your audience if you're streaming on Twitch or YouTube or whatever else. Now, this is the Wave mic arm, which is a low profile arm that you can see here, and as I said, it will work with any boom arm, but in this instance I'm using Elgato's Wave low profile arm. I'm going to do a video on that separately as well, because I think it's worth talking about separately and showing you the setup process for it and some of the quirks of it, but it is pretty neat, and I'm going to show you it set up in a couple of different positions here. This is basically designed to sit underneath the monitor, so you set up at the back of your desk and then it runs underneath your monitor and comes towards the front, or you can put it off to the side and you can position it in a number of nice ways. Obviously, good quality build, as you'd expect from Elgato, and simple mounting. The microphone attaches straight onto it. Now, point of note, on the underside of where that attachment is happening, there is a couple of threads, and you can actually take those out. So if you're using a different boom arm, you can adjust the size. So it has some thread adapters already installed in it. You can just spin those out and then put it on a different one. I'm using it on a Rode PSA 1 Plus a little while later on in this video, and that requires a slightly thicker mounting thread, and so you have to take out those innards and then you can mount it on there as well. So there are options to use it with whatever boom arm you want essentially, but this Elgato one's pretty swish because it's low profile, and it also has some very nice cable management, so you can see that you can run it through some channeling once you've plugged the cable in. Now, this is a fairly understated mic with some interesting points. You'll see that it has the Elgato logo on the front of it, and it's important to note that you actually need to talk into the top This is a Cardioid pickup pattern dynamic microphone with a frequency response all the way up to 15,000 hertz, and it's designed to deliver fantastic quality audio. But as you can see, you do need to make some extra purchases, so it's not a cheap setup necessarily. But if you're looking for a good quality sound, then this might well be an option, with some caveats I want to talk about, because out of the box as standard, until you've tweaked a few things, you might find it picks up a fair amount of background noise. Depending on your environment, I found that it picked up quite a lot of fan noise initially. I'm going to talk through some customization things that you can do later on to eliminate that. It does, however, have an internal pop filter, so it does remove some of the pops that you'd get from your voice, and that's pretty swish and nice, but there's no shock mount set up there. So depending on your boom arm, you might find that knocks on the desk travel through into the microphone, and that's something that I've found. But this setup from Elgato is pretty solid, and as you can see, mounted on a solid desk. If you've got one, it should mean that you get some good sound out of it with minimal fuss from the surrounding environment. Now here you can see it's set up on the desk here and plugged in with a Wave XLR connected up to a PC, which is a fractal case that I built recently. I'll link to that in the description if you're curious and want to see that in action. And this is the sort of setup that you're going to be looking for, basically getting it close to your mouth. And that's the key with any of these microphones, especially high quality ones. You want to get them on a boom arm, get them as close to your mouth as possible. There are some recommendations in the guide as well on how to set it up. You basically want to get it about 8 to 12 centimeters from your mouth. That's about 3 to 5 inches for the best voice capture. And as I said, you've got to talk into the top of it because that's the direction that it picks up from. They also recommend starting out with the gain at about 45 decibels. You can do this within Elgato's Wave Link software, which is what you're running on there if you're using this. Otherwise, you have to set up on another interface for about 45 decibels and then tweak it. It actually suggests that you'd want to go a little bit lower. So here we are, installed Wave Link. I've actually used this previously with a different setup, and I would recommend updating yours if you'd done the same. But here you can see basically the settings for it. Now, as I said, this is a really powerful bit of software because you can see you can put in multiple different sources. But in the settings for the microphone, you see that you'll have options here for adjusting the gain level, and that slider will actually tell you the decibel level you're on. You can also adjust the sample rate at the top, the output volume, and you can make use of things like the clip guard technology, which is designed to stop you clipping. So this software is one of the highlights of why this microphone's excellent when it's combined with the Wave XLR, because you can do clever things like that to improve the sound overall and get a better quality out of it. You'll also notice that there are audio effects that you can apply. So below these sliders is the button there that you can click on to apply various different audio effects, and this is worth doing. Now I'll leave a link in the description to the various different ones, but you can see there's various different VSTs that you can apply, including compressors and various different EQ settings and noise gate settings and things like that. You can download all of these and then apply them. The one that I think is probably most useful, and most people will find very handy out of the box, if you have an NVIDIA graphics card at least, is the NVIDIA noise removal plugin. So this works with NVIDIA's RTX graphics cards, so you'll do need one of the latest graphics cards, either the 20 or 30 or 40 series GPUs, and then you can basically use that to use AI and the intelligence and power of your graphics card to eliminate some background noise. I've done some videos previously on NVIDIA's broadcast software and RTX voice and how you can use that technology to eliminate it. This is actually designed to work specifically for Elgato's Wavelink software. So you can see that you download the files that you need. This is an audio effects SDK. You download and install that, and then you also need to download a plugin which is separate. So there's a couple of different things that you will need to download in order to get this working. This is worth doing if you're finding that you're having problems with background noise. So it's well worth bearing in mind. My recommendation, first of all, is start off at that 45 decibels that they recommend and then tweak it downwards. And I'll show you what I mean a bit later on. But basically minimize the amount of gain that you're putting in if possible. Get the mic as close to you as you can. Drop the gain right down. That will help to eliminate some background noise. But if you still find you're suffering with issues, then try this out. Make sure your Wavelink is updated to the latest version. Mine wasn't, so make sure you download and install the latest version of Wavelink before you get started on this if you've been running it previously. And then you need to make sure that you download both that NVIDIA SDK and also the Elgato download as well. So the plugins for this, you visit the page and look for the Wave XLR product, and then you'll find there's an NVIDIA noise removal plugin there. So you can just click to download and install that. This then applies that technology to eliminate some of the background noise. And I'll show you in action in a little while. But what it will do is it also does, depending on how much level you apply to it, change the sound of your voice, and I'll show you that. So if you put too much on, it will knock out a lot of the background noise, but it also reduces the quality of the capture. So really what you want to do is try and eliminate as much of the noise as possible as standard. If you can do it with, for example, noise removal panels, Elgato sells some of those, or just minimizing the sound by getting a divorce or just using thick curtains in a carpeted room. Here I am with the microphone on the Rode PSA 1 Plus, and I wanted to demonstrate a few different things. You can see just how close it is to my mouth, for example, but also the fact that you can mount it on other boom arms should you wish to. Now, an important point I made earlier on is that this microphone doesn't have a shock mount as standard, so if you have a boom arm that's like this and you knock on it, you might well find that the taps and bonks go through into there. It's an important point because if you've got a flimsy desk and it's thin, it might have the same issue, but you can move the mic around fairly easily and not get too much of a problem there. You can also see just how close it is to my mouth. I could probably get away with moving it a little bit further away, but that is going to depend highly on the level of gain that you're applying. I'm going to show what I mean in a second, but the point is multiple boom arm mounting and flexible setup there, because you can use it in a variety of ways, but you do need to get it close in order to make the most of the sound. So here I am in Streamlabs. Now I want to demonstrate a few different things of interest. You will see that I have two levels applied here. So I've actually got two audio outputs in the mixer, the wavelength stream and the microphone. And there is a reason for that. You wouldn't normally do this, but this is for demonstration purposes. So you can see mic auxiliary is the wavelength stream, which would be the final output from the Wave XLR interface. So if you're using that, that's the one that you would use solely in Streamlabs or OBS in order to output all your sounds, game sound, mic sound, whatever else you're using as one single output. And then I also have the mic in, which is just a straight mic sound from the microphone. The reason I want to demonstrate that is because what I've found is when you have the Wavelink software open and you apply the audio, it only applies to the Wavelink part of it, not to the microphone part of it. And this is how it's set up through Windows. So in the Windows sound settings, for example, we have headphones is the Elgato Wave XLR, and then mic in is Elgato Wave XLR. Those are the two settings set up in Windows sound settings. And then the output here is for these. Now the reason I want to demonstrate this is because of the typing part of it and the background noise. So you can see when I'm talking, you see the levels appearing here and the audio that's given out. And what I want to demonstrate quickly is if I'm quiet for a minute, but I turn the gain all the way up, you'll see that these levels will increase and they'll be there even when I'm not talking. And this is an important point of why you want to keep the gain as low as you possibly can in order to eliminate background noise. But if we go to use NVIDIA's broadcast software, so the noise removal plugin that we've installed, if you apply it, you'll see that it will apply to the wavelength stream. So I'm going to turn it on and you'll see that will probably make quite a difference to the sound of my voice, especially when you start applying it at a really strong level. So now we're at 100%. You will notice when there starts to be a lot more background noise, as I will do in a second, it will make quite a significant difference to the way I sound. It reduces the quality of it, so it's not as rich. So now I'm going to turn the gain back up again, but you'll watch the difference in the levels. You can see if you're looking down the bottom here, when I wasn't talking, that the mic in was picking up loads of background noise, but the link stream part of it was not. So I can actually hear the fan noise in the headphones for the mic monitoring, but the stream can't. So the output that's being put out to your audience, they can't hear it, which is an interesting point and the way it works. Now what I want to demonstrate is a typing experience. So I've got Notepad open over here, and I'm going to start typing, and you'll see the levels appearing again. So I'm going to be quiet while I'm doing it, and you'll see the sound being eliminated from there. Now, if I talk while typing, you'll probably hear some of the key sounds, and I can definitely hear them through the mic monitoring, but I can see from the levels that they're not being picked up as much. If I turn off the noise removal, you will immediately hear the difference, and you'll be able to see just what a difference that noise removal makes, because it does eliminate a lot of this, and also the fan noise that you heard when you crank the gain up. So a good combination of reducing the gain as much as you can, and if necessary, turning on NVIDIA's noise removal tool and then adjusting the level of it, the strength of it. Obviously, the lower the strength, the less effect it has negatively on your voice, but also the less it has on that environmental sound, so if you need to adjust it. So these sorts of things you need to play around with, as well as the other things on offer. So there's a lot of different things in the VSTs in terms of equalizers and compressors and noise gates and things like that, that you can download and tweak and play around with yourself in order to get it sounding right. The microphone is designed to give you the most natural sounding voice possible, and I do sound really rich and like natural sounding voice for what I sound like in real life, and it's a decent sound compared with the other microphones I've tested as well, XLR microphones. Unfortunately, it does pick up quite a lot of background noise as standard. You do need to sort of tweak it and play around with it a bit in order to get it sounding right, and that's going to depend wildly on your environment, the noise in it, and a lot of other things, but you can customize it, and it is fairly easy to do, and the Wavelink software makes it a lot easier because of these plugins, and also because of the tweaks that you can do to the basic settings. I'd highly recommend using OBS or Streamlabs in order to just to see what those levels output are, because if you're not talking and you can still see the levels sort of going up, then you know that there's a problem. You can also obviously see this within Wavelink, and you can see when those levels are peaking and when they're sort of going into the green when you're not making any noise. Obviously you can hear it in the headphones as well if you crank that up as well. Have the headphone sound all the way up. Something to play around with. You really do need to play around with these things, but hopefully you find that useful. Be sure to check out all the information in the description, including the link to the Wave XLR video that I've done separately, which goes into a lot of depth of what you can do with it and things that you can play around with in order to tweak and make it sound better. I also did a video on the Wave 3 and how to make that sound better, and NVIDIA's broadcast software and other things. So I'll link to those as well in case you're curious. This has been the Provoked Prawn. Hope you found this video useful. Big shout out to my YouTube members. With massive thanks for supporting the channel and helping me out on a monthly basis. So just click that join button to find out the benefits of being a member. Otherwise, hop over to my Discord and join in the conversation. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget, hit that thumbs up and subscribe to come back for more. This has been the Provoked Prawn. Thanks for watching. This has been the Provoked Prawn. Hope you found this video useful, interesting, hilarious, or otherwise. Take a look at these other videos that I think you might find interesting as well. And have a look at the description for links and other information you might find useful. Click that join button to see the benefits of being a member of my YouTube channel. And most importantly, have a great life.